Okay, so we've seen that we can get our classes to inherit methods from, say, the superclass, in this case, the person. So if I write a method in the person class, all the other classes will inherit it. Okay, but what happens if you want the method to do one thing for some classes and another thing for other classes? Well, fortunately, there's a concept of overriding, and I'm going to illustrate this with the idea of having a method called attach to. So this would be really useful. So if I have an object, can I see whether that object could be a user, could be a student, is that object attached to a particular module? For person and user, they don't have any associations with modules, so that's always going to return false. For staff and students, it will return true if the module is in the object's list of modules. So remember, each staff object has a list of modules, each student object has a list of modules that they're attached to, and we can search through that. So we want this method to do slightly different things depending on what type of objects it's attached to. And we can do this by using overriding. So first of all, we want one that will always return false for the person and user because they're not attached to any modules. So we can implement an attach to method in the person class, which always returns false. But we can also implement attach to methods in the staff and student classes, which will check the modules. And these latter two methods, the ones in the staff and student classes, are overriding the parent method. Okay, so if we've written one in the class, then that overrides anything from the parent. So here's the person class, and you'll see there's the extra method down the bottom, the attach to method. Okay, that's just returns false because a person is never attached to a module. If you remember our examples, only staff and students are attached to modules. Just to point out a couple of things, this uses Hasatra to see what, when it prints the details of an object, it uses Hasatra to see what attributes that object has. And as I said, the attach to method always returns false because person objects are never attached to modules. If we go to the other classes, now I've put in an attach to method in the staff and the student class. They're actually duplicates. I could get rid of that as well if I really wanted to, but I'm not going to bother. So I've got these methods in the staff and students and the student classes, and they will override that parent class, the one in that parent method, the one in the person class. So if I try and use the attach to method for a person, okay, where does that get from? It inherits from the parent, which is if I try to use it for a user, that inherits from the person. So it uses that one that always returns false. If I try to use it for a member of staff, it uses the one in the staff class. Okay. So the user class is absolutely unchanged because that is just inheriting stuff from the person class, so we don't have to do anything. The staff and student classes are unchanged except relative to example 08, except now we've got this attach to method that overrides the one in the person class. So that's what the UML diagram looks like now. Okay, you can see the person has a name, it's got three methods which all the classes inherit, but the staff and the student override the attach to method because they need to check the modules, whereas the person and the users don't need to check the modules. I have to say in UML as far as I know, there's no standard way to show a method overriding another one, so I've put them in bold here just to make it stand out. Okay, but the GUI can be much simpler because what I can do is, as we saw when I did the demo in the last video, we can use isInstance to check if an object is an object of a particular class. So there we check if it is it's a student or if it's a member of, or if it's a staff. We can use print details for all the users. So this is much simpler than previous versions, not version 8. It's simpler than the previous lectures. Okay, so print details is much easier. And this is instance is used to check if this is a student object. So now the code is getting relatively simple. I mean, this bit is a little bit complicated still because you've got to loop over the users and check whether they're in the group that we're trying to send a message to. But we've now got these methods called, like user.send, user.attachTo, and user.printDetails are available in all of those objects without having to repeat the code very much. Okay, let's finish that video there and then we'll talk about encapsulation.